Hi everyone, can anyone tell me if I am live, please? I'm just going to check Facebook. Can anyone see me on YouTube? Is there anyone on Facebook? Oh, you can see me. Thank you. I'm just checking Facebook. I haven't done this before. I'm trying to share 2 free platforms at once. Is there anyone that can check? Someone's from Facebook on there. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight. Now, I know there would be many people that would have been expecting to see me on Christmas Day. Obviously, in 2018, I was outside Whitehall gates on Christmas Day. In 2019, I was at Alberton Police Station with a couple of dear friends. In 2020, I was at Shepperdston Lane, the scene of my son's murder, on Christmas Day. So this year, I didn't want to come on Christmas Day because it's not always good to be a creature of habit when you're speaking the truth and then people expecting to know where you're going to be and what you're going to do next and when you're going to come on. So I'm not going to speak much now. I would like to show you a documentary that's been created, and I want to thank everyone who's been involved in it and helped in it with regarding our poor boys, Josh, Harry, and George. What? Bear with me. Don't know why it's showing that.
Three teenage boys have been killed after being hit by a car while standing at a bus stop in West London last night.
They were also standing near to the bus stop behind me with a group of other teenagers who police say were all unharmed in the incident. It's difficult to know exactly what happened, but there are some markings presumably made by investigators on the road along here, and it would appear that the car has hit a wall, a fence, it's even hit an ambulance, sorry, not an ambulance, a lamppost, which has been shorn off.
Throughout the day, more and more people have been coming here to leave flowers and pay their respects. It's thought the 3 teenagers who lost their lives were all aged around 16, and we've been told that they were on their way to a party. Many of the people who've been leaving flowers just across the road, you can see behind me, have been family and friends. Many of them look visibly upset. Now, police don't know if what happened was an accident, but they're not treating it as terrorism. A car mounted the pavement, and it's believed it's at that point that it then hit the 3 teenagers. What we do know is that a person inside the car, which was a black Audi, was arrested. He's a 28-year-old man. He was taken to hospital, and now police are appealing for witnesses.
Bear with me. Why is this technical issue happening? Sorry everyone, bear with me please. I don't know why this is happening. Well, I can guess. Sorry everyone, just bear with me a second please. Right, I'm going to have to restart it. I've had no problems with this all day, and it's still making the noise now, even though I've switched it off. If I come out, James, you're watching this. If I come out and come back in, does it create different links? Give me a second, everyone. Really sorry. This was all set up, ready to go. Restart from the beginning. What, restart? What, do I leave the studio? Leave the room and come back in. No one will keep the same studio. I don't know what is going on or why I've got this noise. I've literally turned it off. Right, bear with me. I don't know how am I going. I haven't even got it on. Right, let's start it. I'm just going to restart and hopefully I can get this video played for you. I've not had a problem for the last 4 days with this until now. Right, bear with me. Hi everyone. Sorry about that. I'm just reloading it up. I had to turn everything off. That noise wouldn't stop. Now, just to say, I'm playing it from an editor because we had to change all of the music that was in the documentary. Because if there's even a tiny loop that belongs to someone else, Facebook, thank you, Facebook would mute the whole video. So we had to, at the last minute, change all the music, create our own pieces, and everything else. So just bear with me, please. Does anyone want me to start this again from the beginning? We have to turn the light off, otherwise the birds start singing. How does everyone feel? Do you want me to play it from the point I was out, or do you want me to play this from the beginning? We was only about a minute and a half in. So I'm just getting it back up now. Now, just before I came live, I was going to extract the whole, anyone who knows about videos and video editing, after we put the music in, I was going to extract it. I started to extract it, and it was taking well over an hour, which would have took me to possibly gone 11 o'clock again tonight. Okay, I'll do that, Johnny. Over 11 o'clock again tonight. And so it wouldn't have got shown tonight. And I've been waiting to show you this for a very long time. As I said, this is part 1 of the documentary. There is a part 2, but we need that for court. So I'm just going to get this up now, and I'll start it again. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate this very much. If you can share. I don't normally say, can you share, but this is so important, not just to Josh, Harry and George, or to us families, to the rest of the country. So I'm just getting it up. Right. It's obviously a very big file. Like I said, anyone who knows about editing, and when you've got loads of music in it, and it just creates a massive file. I've got everything else turned off so that it should have run smooth. I've not had a problem playing it in this because I've tested it, but obviously when I came on the live, I did have a problem. So I'm gonna start sharing the screen. Now frozen now. I'm in West London, Ash. It's on YouTube too. Thank you. I would, is that Al? But extracting it would have took hours. It has played no problem on this until tonight. Thank you, Saskia.
Three teenage boys have been killed after being hit by a car while standing at a bus stop in West London last night.
They were also standing near to the bus stop behind me with a group of other teenagers who police say were all unharmed in the incident. It's difficult to know exactly what happened, but there are some markings presumably made by investigators on the road along here, and it would appear that the car has hit a wall, a fence, it's even hit an ambulance, sorry, not an ambulance, a lamppost, which has been shorn off.
Throughout the day, more and more people have been coming here to leave flowers and pay their respects. It's thought the three teenagers who lost their lives were all aged around 16, and we've been told that they were on their way to a party. Many of the people who've been leaving flowers just across the road, you can see behind me, have been family and friends. Many of them look visibly upset. Now, police don't know if what happened was an accident, but they're not treating it as terrorism. A car mounted the pavement, and it's believed it's at that point that it then hit the three teenagers. What we do know is that a person inside the car, which was a black Audi, was arrested. He's a 28-year-old man. He was taken to hospital, and now police are appealing for witnesses.
Investigations underway into the deaths of three teenage boys killed when a car ploughed into them as they were walking to a party. Flowers have been laid at the scene in West London where the collision happened yesterday evening. Police have arrested a 28-year-old man who was in the car. From the scene, Olivia Kinsley reports.
For a few minutes this afternoon, police closed the road where the crash happened for friends and family to say goodbye to three clearly much-loved boys. They're said to have been walking to a 16th birthday party just a few hundred metres away when the crash happened.
The boys started to unload the ambulance with everything that was in there, first aid kits, everything. A boy came and stood, because I was in a car in the passenger seat, I had the window down. He was standing next to me on the pavement, and he was on the phone to, I think it was his mum or his dad, saying, "Oh, my friends are dead." He was crying, he had his hands on his head, and he was saying, "Oh, Mum, they've killed our friends." And I just listened, and I remember he kept saying, "Please come and get me, please come and get me." And I don't know what she must have been saying, what's going on, because he kept saying, "Oh, yeah, they're dead, Mom, they're dead, please come pick me up."
Was one of the first on the scene immediately after it happened.
I could see the incident in front of me, and I had pulled them at that point, and there was a bus driver in front of us, and he came over and said, "Oh yes, there's someone dead in the road." He came over to us and he said, "Oh, who are you on the phone to?" And I said, "Oh, I'm on the phone to the emergency services. I'm waiting to get through." And he said to me, "Oh, there's no point in speaking to the emergency services. They're already dead. There's no point. And then he walked back over towards the entrance to the cemetery, which on the left-hand side, just in front of his bus. And he was having a cigarette, and this guy came over in the back of his jacket. He had a response officer. He wasn't a police officer or anything. I thought maybe he could have been, but he wasn't. He had a cigarette as well. And I thought, this is strange.
I mean, people just drive like lunatics, you know, bad weather, good weather, they don't care. They take that 60 mile an hour speed limit to the extreme. It's a 60 mile an hour road, and cars and vehicles drive up and down here sometimes like it's a speed trap. Now, this road's busy 24/7, and if I'm being totally honest, I'm surprised that there hasn't been more accidents along it.
I take it that you was the security guard in the lorry park that night.
I wasn't there personally that night. I'd finished. I think I finished about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and then I started again the following day. So I wasn't actually working overnight on that, because it's a Friday night, if I remember correctly, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. The only reason I asked that, because there was a picture taken of the car, and all the newspapers apart from, I think it's one or two, have accredited that picture to you.
Yeah, that was sent to me by the person working, and obviously when the following day, when I was there the following day, the press, obviously they asked me how I knew about it. I said, well, I got a call from the guy working on that night. Told me what happened. He sent me a picture of the car, and obviously they asked if they could have a picture of the car, and I said, well, yeah, I couldn't see any reason why they couldn't.
Okay, so it wasn't actually you on duty in the lorry park then?
Not on that night, no. I'm not sure I'd even be able to get help, because it was we've had so many staff come and go since then. I couldn't even tell you offhand who was actually working that night.
Oh, right, okay then. So you don't remember who sent you the picture then?
I couldn't honestly tell you. I couldn't, because I say that wasn't my security contract at that particular time. I was working for another company then. It's a long story with that, but I couldn't even remember who was working that night. Like I say, they sent me the picture and they'd phoned me up and told me what happened, but he said, there's been a big accident outside. I said, and he said it looks like there's multiple fatalities. Not my issue, but I said, mate, no, that's not a thing to joke about, thinking he was exaggerating it.
Yeah.
And then he sent me a picture of the car. Sent me that picture of the car, which obviously I forwarded on to. I think it was ITV or whoever the news channels were. Then obviously they wanted to obviously put his name. I said, well, unless I can speak to the guy working, I said I don't really want to pass on his name and details just like that. But obviously, that time in the morning he was still asleep.
Yeah.
So I said, well, look, just credit it to just thinking, if you need to put a name to it, then just put mine. It's not not an issue, like.
So do you know if this other photographer got in touch with you then and asked if he could claim the rights to
this is, like I said, this is first communication, other than when I spoke to the press that night. Spoke to the press that night. I mean, I've had no contact with anyone regarding that photograph. Obviously, that on that particular Saturday morning, the press were asking if I could give them that picture size, what's happening to every journalist and from BBC, ITV, and whoever else was there. But like I say,
so they was all aware. So the press was all aware it wasn't you working that night, and you had no info when they spoke.
Yeah, that's right. Because obviously when I come out, they said, "Oh, do you know what happened?" I said, "Well, no." I said, "I wasn't here last night." I said, "But I understand the vehicle for whatever reason, out of the pavement and wherever it happened. I said, no, I said, I wasn't here last night on that night, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
I didn't see what had happened. I mean, to be fair, even the guy working wouldn't have seen what had happened.
No, we've got the CCTV, so we can see that what the person working did was come out. He didn't turn right where all the boys were and needed help. He turned left and went up and took a picture of the car.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So, but we wanted to know whether any statements were taken from the police, because what the police did, they took all the witness statements and retyped up their own versions. So that was, so that was why, exactly what they did in Hillsborough. So that was another reason why we wanted to talk to you, to see if you had made a statement, and then we'd know whether it was missing or not.
No, like I say, the only people I spoke to were the reporters that wanted their story. But like I said, because I didn't see anything, I could only say, it's a very tragic incident, and people were driving along that road like absolute pillocks at the best of time. But obviously that wasn't really related, really significant to obviously what happened. But that is all I could tell them.
Yeah. Okay, then. If it does come to your mind who it was at all, who took the picture, we just basically want to know if a statement was made to the police.
I don't recall them ever saying. I think basically they had a look outside and then disappeared back onto where they were working. I wasn't aware of anyone giving any something to the police regarding that at the time. I mean, and certainly didn't happen afterwards. I know that.
Yeah.
For an absolute fact, but nothing was said at the time. From obviously when I went back there the following morning, nothing was mentioned about the guy working overnight giving a statement. So
okay then.
But
no, that's great.
If by some miracle I can track back who it was and find out, I'll let you know. But I very much doubt I'll have any joy with that, to be honest.
Hello? Oh, hi. Is that Gavin I'm speaking to? Yeah. Sorry to trouble you. I'm from an independent production company. We're doing a documentary film, and we're trying to clear some third-party content that's going in the film. Now, there seems to be a bit of confusion over an image that's copyrighted to a few different people, and one of them is yourself. So I'm just giving you a call to see if we can clear that up at all. Now, the image in question was taken on the night of the 26th of January 2018. The picture of a damaged motor vehicle. There was an incident in Hayes. I think you were there the day after, but there's the picture of the car is on your gallery pages linked to the actual incident. Were you the photographer that took that image? I don't know if you recall the incident. I think there was 3 teenagers killed when a car mounted the pavement. Do you remember it?
Yeah, I do remember it, yeah. I think the best thing is send me an email, and then I can see it, because I can't remember this a long time ago. And then I'll let you know. It may have been something that was issued by the police or something. I can't remember, to be honest.
We shouted towards them to say, what's going on? Just, can you stop fighting? We're going to call the emergency services. And then I recall at that point, one of the boys came over towards my side of the vehicle, and he said, "Oh, so my friend's been killed." She got out of the vehicle and she went round the front of the ambulance, and she stood there and she just paused for a second, and she just kind of looked, and then I remember there were some boys and they came over to the back of the ambulance and she went round to and they opened the boot and they were just taking out everything. Bags, oxygen bottle in the green bag. And I remember that they had some police officers arrived on foot, and one of them, he came over, a white police officer. Yeah, on foot, he came over on foot. They were running down the road. One of them was running quite fast. And at that point I thought, why are there police vehicles? I thought that would be the safest thing, because if obviously they're being told that there may be a stabbing or there's altercation or there's a lot of people, I thought that the safest thing would be to come in the vehicle, but they were on foot. So the first one spoke to me quickly and told me to leave the scene, and then I saw the other one coming behind him.
So a police officer coming up to the scene of a major incident, knowing you're a potential witness, that immediately tells you to leave the scene.
Yeah.
And did you follow that order?
Yes, initially I remember not leaving straight away, and I think that's what aggravated them, because I thought that wasn't right. And then that's when he got a bit animated and said, can you go? And he put his hand like that, forcefully, can you go? So then I started to turn around, and then she left. And then I remember I was quite angry at that point, because I felt like I shouldn't be leaving. In the mirrors on the side of the car running down the road, and white police officer with a hat. He was wearing a hat, white short sleeve top with the black jacket thing that they wear, and he came over and he said, "Happened?" And we said, "Yeah, we see what happened." And he said, "Okay." And he said, "Can you just leave the area, leave the scene?" So there's the bus. We were behind the bus. We were already here by this point. Okay, so altercation's happening. Yeah, we was already here by now. There was no... Is it a van? There was no van. No van. No. No. Yeah, we was already here because we saw the altercation, and we were the first person. I was the first person to say anything about an altercation in a forecourt of a petrol station, so I know we were there when it was happening. And our car's not even there yet, and this altercation's already over, so... No. So where are we then? There, that's us. So everything's over and we're arriving, so how would I know that there was any kind of altercation or anything if we weren't there when it was going on? And we were directly behind that bus. I spoke to the bus driver. We sat behind the bus. I had a conversation with the bus driver, and we stayed behind that bus until the point that he left. And all these cars that appeared to be driving through the scene, it's not possible. It's not possible. It's not possible. When they walked over to that van, they were walking over to us, because that's when they said they wanted us to phone the emergency services for them. No. Yeah, there's no way they can move through.
How does that make you feel?
Just sick, angry and sick, because I know for a fact that I was there when the altercation was taking place. Before it even started to happen, we were there in the car. So the fact that it seems that we've come back so far we're so much further back in this footage, the question that I'm asking is, how would we know? How would I know, being the first person to give a witness statement to the press? There's no other information out there. How did I know this happened if we were all the way back? How? Who told me? No one. I didn't know anyone on that scene personally. We were just two citizens coming across this. We didn't know anything. So yeah, sick, makes me feel sick and angry, because it feels like a crime against us and our truth.
It's just painting an incorrect picture, and it's just manipulation, really, because we know that did not happen the way that we've just seen that.
And it's just horrible that they would take us, two innocent people, and make us look like liars, or paint us out to be much further back. We didn't see any of this. And if the families of the victims were to look at my statements and then look at this footage, they would think that I'm a liar, and that really hurts, because we've always told the truth and nothing but the truth. And even here, when you can see the bottom of our car with this red car, the altercation's already finished, and we were already there. So I know that this is not right.
If Jane Shaw was sat here today, what message would you have for Jane?
I would firstly like to ask her why. Why would she want to be part of something like this? Why would she want to adapt on something? The police, in my opinion, are there to protect us, to protect the people, to come out when people are in need, and to take away their problems, and to make people's lives better. So the message I would have to her is, if she wants to call herself a police officer or a detective, how can she go home at night knowing that this footage is faked, knowing that there's the truth isn't being told, and that innocent children lost their lives at the hands of something which isn't true, isn't as it seems? How can she live with herself? That's all I want to ask her, is how can you live with yourself, and why? Why would you want to be part of this? Why would you? I mean, I'm not sure if Jane Shaw has children, but if she does have children, how can she go home and look at her children and know that what she knows? Because if I was a parent, I couldn't, not having children. I would just think of, imagine if that was my children. So my message to her would be to take a long look at herself, and to take a long look at what she knows, to come out and tell the truth, because I would respect her more. Because when I met her, She came into my house. I respected her as a police officer. I respected her for her line of work, and she made me feel calm and reassured. And that's what I would want her to be, not someone who could be part of a police cover-up like this. I don't know how she could live with herself. Thank you.
There was a tape placed across that inn sign there. Tape, yeah. And there was a pole here, just over here. Yeah, which has been cut out, yeah. On that night, this garage was closed off, yeah. Closed off at the point of when the incident occurred. Why was that?
Because they cordoned off all the area.
No, it was cordoned off before the incident.
Now, after the incident.
It wasn't cordoned off before the incident.
How would it be cordoned off?
So who cordoned it off?
The police.
Whoever got out of the car, ran down the road, yeah, and ran onto the forecourt, yeah?
No, he came down that side, then something, he went all the right.
No, I'm not going to film you, don't worry.
No, you are filming.
No, I'm not filming you.
I know you're filming.
No, right. Well, I'm not pointing anything at you. I'm just trying to find out.
Definitely, how can you point on me anything? I wasn't involved, so
no, but you were here that night.
But no, I was here. I was not here. I was in there. I was in my office. I was working on the computer.
Right.
Then at around 9:30, when the police started coming and everything started coming up here.
About 9:30, 9 o'clock, the police came.
Right. Around that time.
Because when the fight happened on the forecourt.
The fire? No, there
fight.
Was
a fight. There was a fight, wasn't there?
There wasn't any fight on the forecourt.
A fight.
There wasn't any fight on the forecourt.
You were lying because I saw it after key witness. So if you were here that night, then you're lying.
You're not supposed to film me.
I won't film you.
No.
I'll point it away. Have the conversation. Have the conversation, yeah? You're saying there was no fight on the forecourt that night.
This is called the forecourt. There was no fight on this premises.
No, there was. And you know how I know you're a liar.
Whatever happened around, I didn't know.
So you closed the station off, yeah? But you don't recall any fight on the forecourt?
No. I came in here, being a manager, I came in here and asked you what you guys are doing here. Is it this car you're talking about?
No, I want to know who that car was over there.
It was terrific. But I can't give you any answer for what I don't know. Right?
Well, you were managing that night, yeah? Okay. So when all the commotion went off, what did you do? Did you stay in the back? Did you come out? Did you come out to see what was going on in the forecourt?
I'm not supposed to interfere anything which is happening within the police things, right? None of our area was covered. There was no fight within our area. There was no happening in our area. And this site was not even involved. It was involved in just such a case that we had some CCTV views which police wanted to see. So they just checked it, and that's all we were involved in that. Nothing apart from that.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is, you're saying there was no fight on the forecourt.
Exactly. No fire on the forecourt.
I'm here. I'm here.
All the news boxes, it says a fight broke out on the forecourt at Esso Petrol Garage on Shepperton Lane.
So what?
You're continuously filming me without my permission.
Well, hang on. Stand there. Just stand there. Right? I'll stand there. All right?
No, I'm just saying you're continuously filming me.
No, look, I'm pointing it out. Right, just explain to you. I've got CCTV. It shows the angle from that camera. It shows a fight on the forecourt right there. You can see it with your own eyes. Yeah?
What's it in relation to?
It's relation to the incident of what happened to 3 boys down outside the cemetery.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, well,
Right.
that wasn't a bus stop, but yeah, that one. So it's in relation to that. We've got some stuff to show you as well.
So where are you from?
We're doing a public investigation. So we've got some stuff to show there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got some stuff to show you as well.
Okay, I don't know which watch attended that.
Yeah, I've already joined here end of November.
Yeah, yeah.
For Christmas.
Or just anyone, if there's anyone we can speak to, like here,
Whichever day we find
either aware of the situation.
We can have a look and see who was in, because as far as I'm aware, from memory, we had very little to do with the incident.
Yeah.
As far as the Fathergate involvement was really minimal, because we get called when persons are trapped, etc., and we weren't called to that. Weren't called to that.
Yeah.
I couldn't give you the exact circumstances because I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we've got details that apparently you was called at 9:27 that night. And it was the 26th of the 1st, 2018. Now we have a recorded call to the emergency services, which was made more or less straight away. In that, which we're happy to play you if you wanted to listen. And in that call straight away, which was more or less straight away when the incident happened, they're stating that the car looks like it's going to explode, that there's smoke coming from the car and things like that. So on that notion, I would have assumed that the fire service would have been called straight away for something like that. Isn't that something normally that the fire service would deal with? That's something that is for a fire service. It's not for the police to attend if a car is smoking. It's for the fire service, I would assume.
Yeah, again, depending on what it's difficult to say. We get called to cars smoking all the time, but it does depend on what was exactly said in the call.
Bear with me a moment. Are you at the car or? Literally about to be here in 1 minute. Okay. Is there anyone in the car? They've run off. Alright, so no one's in the car? No one's in the car. Right. Sorry? Hello, what's going on? I don't know, but the car's like burning and everything. I don't know. Right, are you all away from it now, yeah? Yeah. And there's definitely no one in the car? No one's in there. There's people there, they said no one's in there at all. But they can't be taken at all. Right, okay, what I'll do then, if an ambulance is not required, I'm going to hang up the phone.
Probably if I looked a bit closer, I could probably get the model, but I would say that's an ADL Dart vehicle. you could see there's lights on it inside, and you could see something that looks like a building block, but it might be the luggage racks inside.
Yeah.
It's luggage racks inside. It's definitely a hotel hopper because they have luggage racks instead of seats.
Yeah.
Or it might be the one that they've got that's got like an all-over advert for Stonehenge and various Warwick castles and things like that on it. But I could tell you 100% categorically that the video footage, and I'm not saying the vehicle hadn't come along Shepperton Lane at some point, but I'm as confident as I can say from overhearing, and you know, obviously once the police are gone, the guys are talking about it in the office. I can guarantee that it came up. None of our vehicles came along just either side of the accident. But I obviously want to be cautious about what I say.
It doesn't make this statement true then.
Three coaches returns and real coaches are. I suppose it does show through, does it? I'm pretty sure that they would have done a witness statement in handwriting at the time, because they would certainly need to have it signed. Or unless they did it and then brought it back and had it signed at a later date.
But that still begs the question of them trying to say, or this gentleman, you know, I have my own thoughts on that when they retype up people's versions and don't get them signed by the people. You know, it makes me query that, where they're trying to say that third vehicle that was on the road that night in the vicinity of that collision was City and Circle, and it wasn't. It was a hotel hopper bus, which then makes that part of the statement a lie.
That bus there is definitely a hotel hopper.
So it's very easy for an average person to miss it, but these are not natural light sources here. These are deliberate overblob layers that are just meant to hide any detail. You know, this is just outrageous, quite frankly.
Therefore, many of them, most statements are missing. We've spoken to many witnesses, so as the private investigators, and their statements are not in that bundle. Do you know how many statements there are mentioning this Horace Miller and this Ford Fiesta finesse? Many. Many.
So what vehicle are you saying this is?
It's a Vauxhall Corsa.
Yeah.
Registration roughly 2001 to 2003, based on its identifying marks.
Okay, so.
But what's important to remember, if it was
that car mentioned in the.
No, not at all.
So it's not traced at all.
Not only is it not traced, the statements say, let's say, from who Horace Miller, whoever he is, right, do not match up to the scene. Yeah. So not only was he not in a Ford Fiesta finesse, his statements don't match up to the scene. Yeah. So if you read his statements where he says the driver gets out of the car, runs and falls in front of my car. Wow. So whatever way you look at it, you can't go left and you can't go right. You can't say Horace Miller was in the car in front of the bus, because we know by looking at the CCTV that that car never saw a thing. Yeah, we also now know as well that wasn't the Ford Fiesta. Yeah, so if you wanted to look at the car in front of the bus as being the Ford Fiesta, let's just say that the police wanted to look. You can't, because we know he didn't see nothing. And the car that left the scene, which wasn't a Ford Fiesta finesse, which is a Corsa, backed up by many people stating it's a Corsa, yeah? Not just one, two, because we make sure we back up from people who know what they're talking about, right? Which we've got evidence of. Doesn't match up to his statements. Let alone everything else we have that goes along with it as well.
What does What does Horace Miller say in his statement? Where does he say his car is?
He doesn't physically say my car is in front of a bus, but he states the driver gets out, runs, yeah, and falls in front of my car. Now, as you know, the car that he's close by is the car, yeah, on the CCTV, is the car that is in front of the bus.
Is there CCTV of the driver running out and running back?
Yeah, from a distance, that's on there.
I understand what you're saying.
I don't think you do.
I don't agree with it. You know, I do not. I do not think that this was a murder. I do think that it was a collision, and I think it was an absolutely tragedy what happened to your boys.
I'm actually quite ashamed that you're sitting there saying that.
I can only
woman to woman, mother to
tell
mother. I've just informed you that we have the evidence that we're willing to show you.
I'm more than happy
Hang
to
on,
see that,
hang on.
Tracy.
No, you've just stated something without even looking at anything. I've just informed you when I come in this room that the MP sent a letter with 4 points for a retrial. And you've just sat there and said that. You wasn't on the investigation team. You're obviously a coward and scared of whatever's going to happen to you. Yes, you are.
I'm not.
I'm telling you, woman to woman, you are.
Okay.
You wasn't
Because
in that investigation, so how would you know that?
I'm just saying from what I've seen of the investigation.
Which is what? What have you seen?
I'm not, Tracy.
No, it's interesting. I need to know. That's a normal question. What have you seen of the investigation?
I have read through the reports of the investigation.
What reports?
And from what I can understand, it is what I've said it is.
No, it's not.
Okay. So there is nothing that I have seen with regards to this that leads me to think that
What have you seen? What
So
have
you're
you
contradictory in how you've spoken.
Yeah, the question is, what have you seen to base that opinion on? What?
So I've seen the initial reports.
So you've seen Simon Mow's collision report?
I've seen that, yes.
Right. Have you seen the CCTV evidence?
I've seen part of that, yes.
Which part?
I can't remember from, but I've seen some of it.
What part of the video did you see? Did you see a Ford Fiesta in the video?
I can't remember.
So all the police have got it wrong, and you
So
can't remember. Do you not think this is a little bit suspicious yourself?
What are you saying with your? So this is what I don't understand.
Right. What it is?
What
What I'm
is
trying to get
your-
through. There
Right.
wasn't a Ford Fiesta, and there
I know
wasn't
exactly
a
what
Horace
we're
Miller.
saying.
Do you not understand that?
We're saying.
Tracy.
You've contradicted yourself twice so far in this meeting, Jenny de Fabian.
There wasn't a Ford Fiesta there. Did you see a Ford Fiesta in the CCTV?
So you're saying there's not a full Fiesta.
You can see that by the vehicle that's being
So you're
driven.
saying that Horace has been planted. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. As I told you, I've just told you he never saw it. And he wasn't in a Ford Fiesta finesse. There you go.
But we've got somebody called Horace Miller that has given a statement.
Yes.
So if you're saying that he's never seen it, then you're saying that he's been planted.
Oh, however you wish to put it.
So why are you saying he wasn't there though?
Colin, you do understand what I'm saying here.
I understand what you're saying.
Right, yeah, you do
But
understand
you're
what I'm
saying
saying.
that the witness that was spoken to at the time
Yeah.
by officers
Yeah.
wasn't there.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. And it wasn't a Ford Fiesta finesse.
But why are you saying that it wasn't a Fiesta and that he wasn't there?
Because you're lying. Because the statement's a lie. That's why. Because he wasn't there. We can prove to you that from the CCTV, and we can prove that to you from the witnesses who were there. So there's your answer.
So which witnesses who were there?
I'm not going to give you their names because you know who was there. If you go through the list of witnesses, you can see who was there. You can see what adults were at that scene. You can see who helped the children, yeah, and who didn't help the children. You can see who stood by Tudor Sama, yeah. You've got the statements, you've got the evidence, and you know what I'm talking about. Statements that Horace Miller wrote do not match up to the scene. They do not match up to the CCTV evidence either. And they do not match up to what the witnesses are saying. Yeah? Everything you can pull apart. The lighting, everything.
If I give a statement, I'm an independent person, I give a statement to police for a purpose. That purpose is criminal prosecution. It doesn't automatically follow that you have the right to my statement. there are little things in that, and I don't want to get into it now. So when you say you're entitled to it, on any moral judgment, of course you are.
In a criminal, for a criminal trial, you are. Yeah.
In a process, you might be, but that's the Crown Prosecution Service that would be entitled to it, not necessarily. There are niceties of law that sometimes defy common sense. And I don't want to make a comment here, and then you say, well, hold on a second, you said I could have everything. I've seen the list, I've seen some of it, and some of it makes perfect sense to me, and I see no reason why not. There are other elements on there, I can see why it might not be natural, because we would have to go to the person and say, are you okay for the family to have this statement? And they may say, not really. I would expect you to have been told that if you've made a reasonable request for it. But there may, so those practicalities, I think, I can really help, definitely. But I do think, given where you are in your position, bearing in mind you're not now going to give the new evidence either to me or to the IAPC, then that new evidence has to go. You've limited yourself. Sorry, I don't want to sound critical. You have one route now, which is through.
Well, it's not like actually a case that we're not giving you the evidence. The Met Police have the CCTV, so go back to Alberton Police Station, get the CCTV and watch it for yourself.
Okay, so what I'm not going to start re-investigating something without the grounds to do so. And once I've listened to everything that you've said today, what I would ask,
not just listen.
I've seen some CCTV, yes, and if I'm honest, I just don't know enough to interpret it the way you have. I'm not questioning what you have interpreted.
Yeah, it's not our interpretation. Nick's very good at writing things like that. You know that I understand that's your interpretation. No, these are facts.
And I don't guarantee.
All right. Listen, I know how corrupt everyone is. So until you start doing something to show me that there is some sort of honesty somewhere in your bones to do the wrongdoing, undo the wrongdoing, that your force that you represent, that does not have a good name anymore, yeah, for 3 murdered children. Could have been 5, could have been 8, because there was another 3 walking towards. And you imagine how you feel if that was yours.
It's not going away.
Just
not going
to
away.
complete this, just so that everyone understands. Let's change let's change plan so that the families were happy for you to see everything that they've seen and look at it through their eyes with a new investigation team and for you to reopen the investigation. And just what would you actually do?
Yeah, that's different if you open the investigation.
What could you do? Yeah.
And I wouldn't commit in this room now. No. I'd be straightforward with you. It would be unfair to do so. What I would definitely commit to is to consider any new evidence, and I have within my part of my direct part, the Homicide and Serious Crime Review Group, which are experienced investigators that have all been senior investigators for homicide and other serious crime, and we will do a internal review. That is an option.
Internal review.
Well, it's an internal aspect, is that they're all Met officers. I might as well be straight up with you.
I just apart from my understanding, to know what Matthew might be able to enable if that were different.
Yeah.
So there is a team that could relook at the case,
but it's internal.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, no. Let me tell you just this one last thing. When I signed the victim impact statement, and the police officer, which is what I'll call them now, came round my house and he told me it wasn't a crime against my son. It was a crime against the state. I'm telling you now, and you, that was a crime against my son. The state don't own my son. It was a crime against my son. That was a crime against me, his siblings, his family, his friends, and the same for George and Harry. And something needs to be done about it. Because I won't give up doing what I'm doing.
Okay. Do you mind this division between the performance of the police and securing a retrial?
Yeah.
So on securing a retrial, as we've all said, all the feedback, we need fresh evidence. Sounds like you're you're very clear in your mind that you have got fresh evidence. So,
witnesses.
in terms of how this might happen, my understanding is that, as we've identified for the attorney, it's kind of the Attorney General.
Yeah.
So it starts with the most senior law officer in the land. I think you should have a meeting, and I will say that I think you should have a meeting. But that's what.
Why couldn't you have got us that before then? What would be different this time to before? Twice we've tried now. And twice we've been.
Because, Tris, as always said it, everything I've heard back from the system then is you don't trust the system. I know that.
No,
absolutely
not.
The law took its course based on and the CPS felt that the process was done fairly, and two sets of different judges got to the same view. So if you're sitting there as the Attorney General thinking this has been through a process, everyone's telling me that the process was done properly. Of course, we've got families who don't agree with that. But what I'm saying here is you come here saying this is new evidence. The only way you can reopen a case in a trial is through new evidence. You have brought new evidence, and that is what I will tell the Attorney General, which is the reason why I will say to him, I think you need to meet the family.
Just watched part 1 of the documentary. There's a part 2, but as I said before, part 2 has to be kept for court. You see 2 witnesses in the documentary you've just watched. Since getting in contact with us and doing the filming with us, they have had threats, messages sent to them with my picture claiming to be me, and because of that is why we had to make the decision to cover up their faces and cover up their voices. Prior to that, they was happy to go on camera, show their faces, have their real voices, but after the threat they received, to keep them safe, we've had to cover up their voice and their face. I wish that we could give you everything that we know, but because our aim is to get into court, have the right charge put on all of those that were in that car that night, all of them. And the right charge is 3 times murder, 2 attempted murder. This was not death by dangerous driving, far from it. But there's one thing that I want to ask the Met Police, and that I've never put out there before, which is, at the time our boys were murdered, there was the alleged Darren Osborne case going on. Why is it, on the day our boys were murdered, which was the day the prosecution had finished their case, and the actual case finished on the 2nd of February 2018. Why was it that one of those involved in that case was at the scene of our boys? Met Police? Why was he there? And why, just a few months after what happened to our boys, I had a woman approach me, pretending to be a victim. She wasn't a victim. But in meeting her, the one thing she wanted me to do was to go to Finsbury Park Mosque and have a picture taken with the in-man there. Why? Why would someone try and get me to do that? It's been a hard journey. It'll be 4 years next month. It's painful every day. And I shouldn't have to do this. I shouldn't have to do this at all. I had one copper throughout this whole 4 years say to me, "Don't stop fighting." I said, "I won't." And they said, "Make sure you don't." Now, it should have been that copper doing what I'm doing. Should have been all those coppers that night doing the investigation, but they didn't. They chose to cover the crime up. And I just want to add again that we have been fighting for the correct charge, not fighting the sentence, not fighting the sentence. We've been trying to fight for the correct charge of 3 times murder, 2 attempted murder, which will then sort out the sentence itself. I can say to you that we have come across no evidence whatsoever for it to show that Tudor Salmon was the driver that night. But that's not to say that he wasn't. That's just to inform you that we have not come across no evidence for that. Another thing the police did was the very next day when they interviewed Tudor Salmon, they gave Tudor Salmon and his solicitor the full names of the witnesses that were at the scene. Many of them children. Why would you do that? Why would you do that, Met Police? Why would you give one of the murderers and his solicitor the full name of the children who were at that scene the very next day? And we have the evidence of that. Also, Met Police that night, SO15 were at the scene. SO15 were there. We have that in the statements we have. In the paramedics' reports, it clearly states it was a gold-paged incident, which means the police took this all over. The police controlled all of this, and those emergency services, including the fire station that is on Shepperton Lane itself, where the incident occurred. Which means it was tactical, operational, and strategic. And they divert all calls to a completely different control centre. You heard the woman who answered one of the 999 calls tell the caller to stay on the line and ask for the police. Ask for the police when it was a fire service remit. What they did to our poor boys was treat them as if they were nothing, that our boys didn't matter to them. They just cast them aside like they meant nothing. Yet they meant everything to us.
Justice for me. Just how to make you understand. You have to make it go. Just way home. Now gonna shine the police.
Justice for the free. Just so close
Let's not make you understand. Yes, let's pray a boy. Now come shine the day.
Hi everyone, thank you for watching part 1 of the documentary. I appreciate it. I appreciate you all sharing and commenting tonight. As I said in the film, it's been a long, painful journey, and it's something that I never ever wish on anybody else. And that's one of the other reasons I'm out here. I don't want any other child or loved one to be hurt and treated the way our boys were. So thank you, and I will see you all again soon.